So many times people look at others. They look at what other people are doing. Why someone is getting someone, that they look better than that person, and why do they have them? Why does someone have that job when I'm more talented? I work harder and I deserve that job. I deserve that person. I deserve to live a better life. But sometimes they don't do self-observation to really look at what they're doing in their life. That possibly they could be doing things wrong, but they don't want to be wrong. They have to be right. And nobody wants to hear other people tell them what they're not doing and what they are doing. It's more of like they want to hear the compliments. They want to be accepted. They want to be acknowledged. They want to feel good about what they're doing. They don't want to know things that they are doing. And whether they believe they're doing them or they feel guilty of doing them or not doing them, that they don't want to be exposed, or they could be oblivious to what is really happening in their life, and they want someone to listen to them, and they want to vent, and they don't want someone to solve any of their problems or challenges. However, they may point fingers at someone if they're not solving their problems, when they don't want their problems solved, when they're saying, don't tell me how to deal with my problems. You have no right. Why do you think you have the right to tell me how to deal with my problems? So essentially, it becomes a catch-22, because now they're saying that you're not helping them to deal with their problems. And now they may say, don't hope for things. Don't expect things. And it's possible that they could be hoping and expecting. So it really becomes a problem that people will complain about the dating scene. They will say, I'm just going to focus on me, like I'm done with men or I'm done with women. Like both sides are complaining, but they're really not looking at things that they are doing, because they don't want to listen to people. They assume that people are criticizing them, accusing them, and talking shit. And it's not the case. That there are people that care out there, because they know that if they don't say something, that these things continue to go on, because then no one else is going to speak up. No one's going to be brave enough to speak up. So it becomes a big challenge for that person, and there's no way for them to grow if someone doesn't speak up. So the problem in the dating scene is not changing what's out there. It's finding someone that is right for you. That these things happen, so if you get older and you meet someone that doesn't treat you and value you, then don't waste your time on that person. That if they're not a good fit, it's like getting an outfit, right? You know, for women, like they go and shop and find a perfect outfit and they love it, and that's the same thing for, you know, getting a guy. You know, like you find something that fits you, that you love, that you potentially think that, okay, I'm gonna wear this, and you're excited about it and you're anticipating it. That you're not gonna just go get any outfit. Maybe you have a bunch of outfits and there's some that you want to wear more than others, and then there's others that you don't, you wear one time and that's it. So maybe it just has like that allure for just that one moment. So think about that. And just like a guy going with a girl, like if he anticipates that the anticipation is more the excitement of leading up to that date, leading up to it, seeing them the second time and the third time and the fourth time until it becomes a relationship that you value. And then people do find out things about each other that maybe they don't like, maybe things they love, and things that they're in the middle with. So it's about two people, because two people are not going to be so similar that they're just going to agree on everything. They're going to be carrying baggage. Everyone has baggage. Everyone has a past. Everyone has a way that they act. They have traits, their personality, their attitudes, and we learn more about people during stress, during pressured moments, as they get more comfortable and they start to reveal more things, they start to be more open, they start to be more honest, that there are many different avenues in dating, and that people date for different reasons, and they have different expectations, they have different wants, needs, desires. There's many different people out there, and with easier options, with the dating apps, with the websites, the different diverse dating websites, matching people, because some people are not, maybe they assume they're funny, maybe they assume they're adventurous, maybe someone is building themselves up just like they do with their resume, that they do that in the dating profiles, that maybe they assume. So maybe they should find out their value from people that are close to them, so they could get an accurate assessment of who they are as a person, so when they build their profiles up, that they could be honest about who they are, and everyone could be honest, and then you could get real connections. That somebody says one thing and they list their profile and they get matched with someone, and someone assumes that they're that person, and then they're not. So maybe how others view us could be valuable that are close to us. Like they could do a value list, more of a respect list, what people respect of what they see of us, and that they could put that down, like 5 things each, and that you could get better connections, and that there's not going to be these mismatches. Because there's mismatches, like people go and they're like, he was not like that, or she was not this way. Like, oh, I'm disappointed. Oh, like, what a bad date. Really, because if we hope for women to change or men to change, then we're really not looking at ourselves. We're not looking at maybe we're doing something wrong. Maybe we have some flaws and some insecurities and certain things that we act a certain way. Maybe we don't listen. Maybe we don't respond a certain way. Maybe we laugh funny and all that. Like, meaning that not everyone's going to accept us, but we have to be comfortable with ourselves. And when we grow, there's certain things that we are going to change. Like we should maybe, if we need to be better listeners, then we're going to do that. If we feel like we're always getting judged, then we're going to figure out why we feel like we're getting judged, and why it bothers us so much, and why we can't hear things that we do or we don't do, and why that we get in arguments and conflict over those things, and why we do certain things that we maybe should stop doing. That's a part of growing, is fixing things that we know that could be a potential problem, that could be toxic for every future relationship, and that we could destroy every friendship and future relationship based on carrying forward problems that are creating conflict in our lives. And a part of growing is really sitting down and doing self-observation and looking at the things that can really hurt us in the future. We all know that we do things, but sometimes some people are a little bit more accommodating, that they're willing to not do the same thing over, that they knew they created conflict with one particular thing, and then that they're going to adjust each time. But what if you're dealing with a person that creates conflict with each different moment, and you find out more about that person and find out more about their behavior and their attitude and how they operate, because each time they're blowing up over certain things each time, and then one person's learning about that other person. Then you start to realize that that person is not that person that they anticipated. Like, they assume that they're really great, really amazing, and then they find out that they have these traits that are very problematic. So if we start working on ourselves, and we start to make ourselves stronger, better, and we start really being honest with ourselves and being unbiased, just being very honest and say, you know what, like, we do these things, we do this, we do that, that we don't listen enough, that we don't partake in healthy communication, that we sometimes are talking about ourselves so much that it's all about us, and that we don't really listen to that other person, and that everything that we need compliments to feel better, or we're in low mood, our moods go down, that we need validation to feel better. And then we should start looking at our confidence, or maybe we could be codependent, that we could look at our self-esteem and why we have low self-esteem, and why are we vulnerable, and why insecurities that we try to hide, and that everyone has something, everyone is carrying something with them, and that it's better to deal with it. And we find that we grow, because sometimes some people could be obsessed, they could really have a crush, and they could just really do anything, bend over backwards and say yes, 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 yes all the time, never say no. And then one day they become stronger, and then they realize that they don't need to say yes, because they don't need to prove anymore, because they already proved themselves. They already invested in that person, and they've done enough to show their value, and that they realize their value, their self-value, and then they realize the value that they should have for the person that they desire, and then it becomes what they want. Because desiring and needing is, we don't need someone, we don't even need to desire someone, but we can want someone. We could want to spend the rest of our life with someone, or we could want someone now, but we don't need, and we don't need to desire. So there's many different areas that we could cover in dating, but a lot of it has to do with a lot of things like our self-doubts, our overthinking, and complaining, and just really things that we do that sometimes we don't want to change, because we feel that we're right. Why do we have to be right? Why can't we be wrong? And that why is it so hard when someone tells us something because they want to see us do better, that we have to fight with them or treat them bad and start attacking them when they're just trying to help us? And why do we assume that they're talking shit when they're not? That they want to see us improve in these areas. If they hear us complaining about the problem after problem after problem, and then we don't want to fix our problems, and we continue to just complain about the problem, knowing that that person could know what we can do with the problem, and we just don't see it. We just continue to complain, and then we get mad when that person is trying to help us solve it, and then they don't want it solved, and then later on we say they didn't help us solve it. It becomes really confusing, and people just get confused, and sometimes it becomes toxic because nobody wants to hear it no more, because they look at the fact that we're not trying to change the problem, we're not trying to address it, we're not going to confront it, and then eventually we are not serious and we are not ready, even though we're mad when somebody says that we're not serious and ready. So it just really becomes confusing, and people start to lose interest in us because we are contradicting everything. That we're not doing the things that we get mad at doing. Like, we get mad at something, and then we end up doing the same thing over again. We keep repeating. It's almost like we love to do it. We love to have this problems, but then we get mad when somebody says that we don't want these problems, we don't want this stress, we don't want this pressure, but we continue to operate in our daily lives with it. that we don't confront it, and then we have other reasons why we don't get rid of it. We have excuses, and then ultimately we never change it, because the problem is something bigger. It's something else that allows this problem to persist. So if we carry these problems into the dating world, and then we blame other people for not treating us good, then sometimes we need to look at ourselves. Like, look at what we need to fix. Because sometimes some people create the conflict, and we know what they're all about, but we can't really tell them, and they refuse to really listen. So they'll just flip everything on us, and it just becomes a problem. And then it's not worth dealing with that problem anymore, because it creates stress for us. And what are we getting out of it? Because that person's not treating us good. They don't value us. They don't respect us. So what are we getting out of it? We're not getting anything out of it. If you're not having physical contact with them, you're not really having anything, then why are you gonna continue to let that person abuse you, to put you down, to say things, if you're not really getting anything out of it, that you're trying to help them and they don't believe that someone could help them? And that's what we deal with in this dating world, because people are carrying the past with them, or the way people treat them, and they think other people are going to be that way, and they can't trust other people, and that they're gonna be very cautious. That's what we're dealing with. This is it's not the new dating world. It's always been that way. Some people are controlled, and some people are codependent. Some people have low self-reliance. Some people have high self-reliance. Some people have high confidence. Some have low confidence. Some are way too confident. Some love themselves too much. Some don't love themselves. Some value themselves. Some value themselves too much. Some have no value for themselves. Some people care about themselves. Some don't care about themselves. Some care about themselves too much. So it's really that it's best to find someone that best complements you. They may not be perfect. We can't look for perfect. And sometimes guys or girls set their sights so high, and they have these relationship goals, and they start picking these celebrities or these ideal people, and that becomes a problem, because it's not always realistic, and that they're only aiming for that, and then they don't give that a person that's close to them, or someone that they go on a date with, a fair shot, because they're looking way into the stars. So this is a discussion that we could have in the future, but there's a lot of things that need to be addressed, even with ourselves or our expectations. When we set expectations, we have wants and needs, desires, then it becomes confusing at times, because sometimes we create problems. We could self-sabotage, and we could just meet the wrong people, and sometimes we're not patient. And patience is very important. So thank you for watching, and remember, value yourself, respect yourself, and love yourself. Peace out.